Hello, I'm Steve Nave with the Actors Showcase, and I'm sitting with one of the top character actors in the entire motion picture industry, good friend, fantastic actor, Mr. Leo Rossi. Leo, nice to have you.
Good to see you. I like the voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you came
Yeah, my
right on.
normal.
It was good. It was good. No, it was good.
Sounded almost professional, right?
Don't take liberties that we're friends. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
We
yeah,
know each other a long time.
I lost
no,
my head.
I love the guy. I love him. You know. We'll do lunch. all
Yeah,
that
my
stuff.
people will talk to your people. Okay. Leo, thank you for coming to the Actors Showcase. Why don't we start off, tell us a little bit about how you got started as an actor, and then we'll go into other things about producing and directing. And
So what had happened was, the way that I got into acting, I went to college on a football scholarship.
Oh.
And I stayed away from acting, even though I had the urge, because I could just imagine all the other football players, when they see me on stage, they'd throw tomatoes. It would be not a nice thing, right? So consequently, what I did, I just let it lay dormant, went into business with my father, was going through a bad marriage, and then my father, never sick a day in his life, dropped dead.
Oh.
So I said, wow, how about this? Maybe I should do what I really want to do. And I gradually liquidated the business, and I started doing community theater, and then I BS'd my way into Strasberg's in New York. You know, I lied about everything, you know. And from there, it was a natural high.
Wow.
For me, I hit a scenario where booze, drugs, no, this is what got me high. And I was a goner after that. And I eventually moved to New York from Philadelphia. I'm a Philly guy. I used to say like things, why don't you come over, we'll have a hoagie and watch the Eagles. You know? So when I went to New York, I had to learn a New York accent, you know. But it was, and Strasberg, I didn't study immediately with him. I eventually did. Very interesting cat.
Who was in your class at that time? Anybody that we would know?
You know, at that time, at the Actor Studio, it was 100 guys. That was afterward, and girls. You know, a couple soap opera actors and a couple European actors and stuff. But Lee did not know, or did not want to know, that social amenities existed. On 13th Street, you know, between 5th and 6th Avenue, where he had the school, I'd walk down the corridor and I'd say, good morning, Lee.
Oh, boy.
Nothing. But I know he liked me and I know he respected my work because he would suggest me for movies and theater.
Wow.
But as far as the social amenities, and people say, well, you know, what made him so great? He would watch and observe and he wouldn't say anything. Sometimes you'd be in there 6, 8 weeks. And then he'd finally say, you're keeping all your tension in your cheeks. And it was like, oh, hell, I knew that. You know, and it just was a certain release. And he didn't allow something very interesting. He didn't want the class to be an audience. So if somebody did a funny scene or if they did a real moving scene, no applause at the end, no laughter. He said, you're in here to study.
What was your first big break? I mean, you've been working steadily for so long.
Yeah. I think the first one, I traveled with the Rose Tattoo, theater-wise, and then that got me out here to beautiful California. And as it turns out, it was Heart Like a Wheel where they really started to take me serious. It was Bonnie Bedelia, Bo Bridges, myself, and it was based on a true story. Shirley Muldowney, drag racer.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
yeah, sure.
And she was the first woman not only to race drag, you know, drag racing, but to win a championship. And she won 3 in a row. So it was like a woman making it in a real macho man's world. I played the husband, and it got all the top 10 lists. And all of a sudden, that gave me a certain legitimacy. But what I did do, I met with the real Shirley Muldowney, because I'm playing her husband, and they had divorced, and I met her at Joe Allen's, and I walked in
LA or
in LA, in LA, and I walked in, and she went, she said, yeah, you're him. She said, I'll tell you all you want to know about Jack Muldowney. And I thought to myself, honey, I'm going to get your view and then I'm going to get his view.
Right.
So after that, it was cool. I went to the producer, said, now, I'd like to speak to him. He said, no, he doesn't want anybody to contact him. He wants no contact whatsoever. I said, well, it's not fair. I mean, I have to see where this, he's down on his luck, he's in his cups. So I said, look, if I go there on my own dime and don't tell him who I am, you know, he said, all right, that's a deal. And I went to Schenectady, New York, run-down gas station, all junker cars, and he came out, and that was Jack. And I said, listen, I'm wondering about your property here. And I got him on his defenses down, you know? And I was observing him and all. I really felt sorry for him. Because she was, you know, top of the game. She was making tons of money. She had a new boyfriend who prepared her cars for her. And Jack used to prepare her cars.
He used to be the...
Oh, he used to be the guy. And very interesting for an actor. I felt that sympathy. And then with my performance, as we were doing rehearsals, it crept in. And that can't happen. Because he wasn't that way. I had to age from 19 to 44 in the movie.
Wow.
And it was like, I said to myself, wait a minute, this is not it. At the end, he was a sympathetic guy. But in the beginning, he was macho with the cigarettes here and everything. And so, you know, as an actor, you got to watch when you're meeting someone and when you're doing a whole life, you can't just take them the way they are there.
Right.
I'm glad I met him, but it also, you know, made my sympathy go out and took me in a not right direction for the beginning of the role. So, you know, here I was in my 30s having to play a 19-year-old kid, right?
Right.
So I said, what the devil? So I would go to the high schools, and I would, first they probably thought I was a pervert. The kids would get out of school, and I'm watching them walk and all. And what I realized was a kid who's in his teens, you know, they're not comfortable with their body. So where I'm saying like this, they would all like, they're not comfortable in their own skin.
Right.
And it gave me something to hook into, which actors look for
Sure.
the hook. It gave me something to look into that I could really use and create this guy at a young age. You know?
That's great.
Yeah, the older stuff I didn't have to worry about. And that was right there.
One of your most recognized films, and every time I mention Leo Rossi, people talk about The Accused, and what a bad guy you were. And tell us a little bit about that film. Because did you shoot that in Canada?
Yeah, we did. The director who I had worked with before, Jonathan Kaplan, wonderful director.
Oh, he did. I worked with him on ER.
That's exactly right.
right.
He did ER and the. So Jonathan called me and said, listen, we're in Canada and we're doing this movie. There's a role I want you to do. They're trying to make me cast it Canadian. He said, but that ain't going to happen. I'll go through the dog and pony show and see everybody, but I want you to do the role. Let me know if you want to do it. I read it, and you know the character was, pretty low, you know. And I called him. I said, listen, this is great, Jonathan. I really would. I would love to do this. And he said, you sure? What do you mean, am I sure? I said, yeah, I want to do it. He said, well, there could be repercussions. Didn't know what the hell he meant, okay?
Yeah.
Well, as the movie goes on and we film it, then it comes out, I couldn't go anywhere. People would come up to me, and a waitress in a restaurant, and I'd be with my family, and she said something like, excuse me, this isn't my table, but I saw you in that movie, gotta hate you were so sleazy, good job. And she'd walk away, and I'd be there like, what? In church, you know? And now, then there was the other side of the coin. I was walking down Ventura Boulevard to Studio City, a carload of teenage boys. They recognize me, jam on the brakes. They go, want to play pinball?
You
and
next.
And I went, oh, no, I don't think those young boys got the message, you know. But Kaplan did an incredible thing. It really was based on a true story. And the girl that was raped and the guys that raped her were Portuguese. He said, I don't want to have any kind of prejudice going into this or anything racial. He said, I want to make them a cross-section, good old American boys. And it was a great, great thing. But what he said to me did come to pass. My agent, now people, John Q. Public would come up and pay me compliments and I hated you, this and that. Well, I could understand that. And I took that as a compliment.
Sure.
But when the studios and the networks, they would tell my agent, they said, if I was up for a comedy,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he's a good actor, that guy, yeah, he's got a dark side. Wait a minute, guys, aren't you supposed to understand that?
Acting,
You know?
acting.
And the next thing I was offered was a miniseries called My Name is Steven. A pedophile
Oh, yeah.
steals a kid, and the money was good, and I needed money because I just had a young baby, and I turned it down.
Yeah.
What, I go from a rapist to a pedophile? Where am I going to go
You're
after
gonna be
that?
stuck, yeah.
I'm going to be poor Andy Robinson.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Going
I say
yeah.
Andy Robinson, wonderful actor.
Dirty Harry. Dirty
Yeah, good
Harry,
director, and he was the killer, the serial
Yeah.
killer, in
Zodiac Killer.
the
right.
Zodiac Killer,
Right.
and poor Andy never pulled out of it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but he's a wonderful director.
Well, Leo, I got to ask you a question. Did you take care of that thing?
Oh, what, the first thing or the second thing?
One of my all-time favorite movies is Analyze This, and you're Robert De Niro's cousin.
Yeah,
in
yes.
the movie with Billy Crystal. In fact, that one scene when De
Wow.
Niro says, "Did you take care of that thing?"
Yeah.
One of the funniest scenes ever. Tell us what happened and how you got involved in
Well,
that.
when I screen tested, it was just Harold Ramis, who's the director, wonderful, funny actor, and he was the director. He and we did it out in California. So they went back to New York, and my agent says, they love you, but I don't know. So they started filming. I said, well, it's done. I didn't get the role. So what happens is they said, all right, everybody wants you. Warner Brothers signed off on you, everything. But Bob De Niro's got to give you his stamp of approval.
Uh-oh.
So now they're going to fly me to New York. I know that this is going to be a gigantic hit movie. And they fly you first class. So I get in on the plane, and you can imagine, I have all these thoughts going on in my mind. And I was reading with De Niro, and then I had to improvise with him. They told me this. So my mind is racing, what's this going to be like? De Niro, the great improviser, and everything. I broke down the script because when you improvise, I made sure I knew what my character's relationship was with every other character in the movie. So whichever direction he went in, I would know that this is the way my guy feels about him. This is the way my guy feels about him.
Right.
To prepare for the improvisation.
Right.
So what ends up happening is we get there, and De Niro is shooting, and at lunch we're going to go to his trailer, and that's where we're going to read, and that's where we're going to do the improvisation. So we get there, and Harold said, look, we all want you for this. Bob's a stickler on reality. I said, yeah, it's fine, no problem. So we go in the heart of Manhattan on a corner that was, they knocked down a building. He's got this RV that goes from me to you. I mean, it's this incredible RV. So I walk in, and he's there, and he goes, how are you? And he says, good. Yeah. And he goes, I look up. What the hell am I looking at? He goes, man, what the hell am I looking at, right? Here, he was so excited. In the middle of Manhattan, on the skylight, he had them put a little tree up on his thing, a little tree, so it made him look like he was in the woods, And I went, oh, this is going to be great.
Oh, wow.
Oh, baby. So we did the two scenes that were scripted. And one of them was the first and second thing. But he wasn't looking at me. He was reading, and he wasn't looking at me. So I said, wow, okay, that's his call. I'm not going to tell Bob, look at me, right?
Right.
So then Harold said, okay, good. And I felt there wasn't the connection yet. So what ended up happening was he said, let's do the improv now. And I said, okay. Now, his character's name in that was, Paul.
Paul, yeah.
Paul Vitti.
Paul
Yeah.
Vitti, yeah.
So he said, let's do the improv now. And I said, all right, Paul, I got to tell you something. Now, when I said Paul, he looked up. I said, Paul, I got to tell you something. This guy, Jelly, I know he's tight with you. But whatever he was, he ain't no more. I mean, the guy's looking at life through the rearview mirror. And he was supposed to be really tight with Jelly, his character.
Right.
And he goes to me, and their eyes were like lasers. He said, don't worry about Jelly. Jelly's all right. He said, I'm just saying, Paul. And then he started through a line. I threw a line. Boom, 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 boom. I walked out of that trailer. I said, I know I got this part. And it was through the improvisation that we connected. And I took it in my direction and where did that come from? On the plane, breaking down all the characters, knowing how he felt with Jelly, what I'm going to do. I insult Jelly. He takes up for it. And we've got a connection.
Wow.
And so that worked out pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, that was a great movie, great movie.
And
I watch it every time it comes up practically.
it really turned, in fact, I think it's one of the highest grossing domestic comedies ever.
Mr. Rossi, now you're working with Robert De Niro and Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
And you're doing, which is one of the funniest scenes ever, the scene in the Italian restaurant about did you take care of that thing?
He introduces me to
Yeah.
Billy Crystal's character.
Now,
Yeah.
you told me a little something. I don't know if we can say this on camera, but
Yeah.
maybe clean it up a little bit.
Well, no, yeah, I can clean it up, I think.
Okay.
Although when I curse, it's like poetry. But what ended up happening was actors can't be bashful. If you got something to contribute, you lay it out there. So with the scene, the first thing, the second thing, the way that ended as written was Jelly says, there's Stevie Beef over there, and De Niro says, let's go talk to him. That's the way it ended.
He says, well, that rat bastard, that dirty
Well,
rat.
no, that wasn't in.
That wasn't
that
in.
wasn't
Okay,
in.
okay.
That's the way that
Okay,
ended, right?
okay.
So, we rehearsed it a couple times, and I said, guys, we're missing a big laugh here. And Crystal went, oh. And what would that be? Because he was one of the writers on it, right? And Harold said, do you have something? And Bob said, wow. I said, well, mob guys from different families, they hate each other. It's just, you're from that family, they hate each other. But when they're in public, they got to make nice. Mm-hmm. I said, so I had it all written, took it out of my pocket. I said, when Jelly says there's Stevie Beef, I'll go, that no good son of a, and Bob goes, that low down rap best. And I said, I see you both. And Bob takes a beat and goes, let's go say hello. And it was a big laugh, And I was good. We incorporated it in. Then I heard a certain member of the cast go on
Tonight Show.
the Tonight Show and take credit for it. Oh, hey, I still get the residuals. Oh, what are you going to do?
We ought to touch on a couple of things you've got coming up. Well, you produced a film recently, 10th and Wolf.
Sure.
You've got a big one coming up called The Nail, which
Yeah.
is about
Yeah.
a boxer. Tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
it.
it's, the producing happened years ago when I had done Relentless, these movies for Columbia TriStar. And I did the first one, and it was with Judd Nelson, and he was very hot at the time, and Robert Loggia, and myself. Now, I'm the lead in the movie, but they were the names. So when it came out, it did decent at the box office, but it went through the roof on video. So now they were going to do Relentless Part 2. Now, I'm not real bright, but I know Loggia's character died and Judd Nelson's character died. If they're going to bring it back, it's got to be me. So we did, and the second one came out, and they went right to video. But it did again good. So now the third one comes out, and they give you the thing, well, now it's diminishing returns. We can't pay you this. We got to pay you that. And I said, okay, as long as you let me produce. And they went, actor wants to get his jollies, see his name producing. They didn't know. When they said yes, I was into everything. Hiring of the caterer, the makeup and hair, everything, right? And I liked that. But then I was working, Then when things start to slow down, and believe me, in this career, it will go up, it'll go down. It'll go up, it's the way it is. Mm-hmm. It's an elevator business, And I had a chance to write a script, and they put up the money, Columbia TriStar, because they had built up a track record. It was Dennis Farina, Fran Drescher, and myself, and it gave me a chance to have a little bit of a track record, producing. And then when things slowed down a little bit, I found a story out from a friend, got the screenplay written, and that was 10th and Wolf.
Well, we're just flowing right along. I'm looking at my director.
Are you sure?
No, I think we are. I think they're running the camera. But
we may have flown right along.
Being a very experienced actor.
Yes.
A lot of time in the film business,
yes.
television business. A lot of people all over the world are going to be watching this show. Maybe you could give some advice to actors or people that want to be actors or people that just want to know about the business and how you get a job.
Well, you know what? First of all, I don't think that there's any magic. The magic comes from a residue of hard work, okay? Now that may sound, put the quotes on it, but I don't know how to be a lifelong guy or girl in this business without doing your acting classes. I'm sure there are some people that don't need it and haven't used it, but that's not me. And getting in a proper acting class, it also starts, somebody will say, I was up for a role. You're actually right for it. I'm not right. Or somebody will say, my agent is, or there'll be directors in the class that are observing. And it gets you into the community. Because in New York and LA, you got to be part of the community. And they're not going to come to your house and knock on the door. It's not going to happen. You got to involve yourself in the community. And study and doing theater, sure. I mean, because people say, well, how am I going to act for the camera? Wait a minute. They got the DPs, they got the director, they got everybody looking. Well, what are you going to do? All you got to do is hit a mark, without looking at it. But people worry about that, worry about your craft. I don't say I'm the greatest actor in the world, but I know how to go to work. I know how to jump in. I know how to take direction. I know how to incorporate. And in film, the directors, some of them don't know how to talk to actors. And they may say, more energy, or just throw something out. We have to know how to interpolate that and make that work for us and give them what they want. And, it's, you got to develop a craft, a technique. And then you can work with anybody. Maybe you'll do this role better than that one because you're more suited for it, but at least you know how to go to work. You can put it on my tombstone. He was an actor that cared, and he was a pro.
Yeah, he was.
One more.
Great guy. Great guy.
That's it.
And speaking of great guys,
Thank you,
are
brother.
a great guy. We're very happy to have you.
I'll see you at the gym.
I'll see you at the gym.
Okay.
I haven't been there lately because of this show.
Because of the work.
The Actors Showcase is very proud to have had Mr. Leo Rossi as our special guest. We look forward to seeing you very soon in one of our next episodes.